Well, I decided to go back to, oh, I'm sorry, it's not a 24-36 anymore. It's a 36-24 now. 36 by 24 inch. So I've laid in a few marks here. And they are just markers to aid me in general composition. They are, you might find it a handy little trick, you might not. If you have a lot of wave action in the water, I would not put in these indexing marks. I would tend to just, freehand it. Otherwise you tighten up too much right away. But I decided this is where my horizon was going to be. There's going to be a massive land here, so that's not the true horizon, I suppose, but where the water meets the land. The biggest single difference sort of between content in the painting. We're out getting away from shore here, looking into some, a little bit open water maybe. These marks may disappear completely from the painting. They certainly, well, they will because they'll get painted over. But I may not use them as a rigid guide at all. I'm just putting them in. As what will I say, a suggestive guide. Points of reference along the way, whatever you'd like to call it. I'm not being too fussy about exactly staying, on my marks, but what I did was I decided that was going to be okay for our discussion for this little blithering. Let's call that the horizon. So we have from here to here is 1 inch, here to here is 2 inches, here to here is 4 inches, here to here is 8 inches, and the rest comes off the painting. Odds are there will be some structure here too, so this line may not even come into play at all. But for the moment, we have it in there. Serves a purpose. Already we have a feeling of things going away from us. We're looking at water now, okay? So already we have sort of a flat surface that appears to be going away from us. You don't need to do the 1 inch thing and then double it each time. You have your own formula if you like, doesn't matter. And I'd like to have a point of land. Oh no, Phil, another point of land. Yes, I love painting shorelines. I love being on the water. I love painting things that are on the water or the water itself. But what I find interesting is where the land meets the water. And so often, what makes it interesting is sorry, I love the water, but what I find interesting is where the land meets the water and the interplay. And of course, obviously, shapes and what have you. That often comes, in my view, in the most interesting way, in a point of land. And that's why I've done so many paintings, and will continue to do so, of a point of land. Coming in from the side, or sometimes an island, sort of not in the center, but, just off-center kind of thing. So, that's my reasoning there. That's always what I've been attracted to anyway. So let's start with again. The beginnings of something. That's all it is. I think I'd like to have, I don't want too much open water here. So I'd like to block the viewer's eye. Well, block it, I should say, maybe more just halt it by putting another bit of a rock there. This is a motif? No. I've done this kind of thing before. to revisit it once again. That's a big chunk. You know, I shouldn't even actually be scratching over this yet. Maybe what I should be doing first is deciding where our trees are going to be. Let's put a little one down here, not too far from the water's edge. We're not going to call this ocean. That's an indecisive looking thing. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely just says to me, what do I do? What do I do? We don't want that. We want something that says, I know exactly what I want to do. Maybe that's a little stronger design. Whether it's right or perfect or what I'm going to use, I'm not sure exactly. It'll be modified, certainly, at the very least. And then here. That's okay. And these two trees are ignoring each other. They just had an argument, so they're looking away from each other. I don't know, there might be too much glare for you to see these lines very well. No. Too much dramatic tension. We'll do this. This one could be maybe more supportive of the one in front of it. How about that? And something a little more distant. And a little more distant again, maybe. Less shapely. Boy, that is a line of trees going up. Not a fan. Not a fan of that, really. Hmm. No. Still not happy. In itself, it's fine. But I'm bearing in mind how the rest of the sky and the composition is going to go. And maybe you'll say to yourself, oh, I see what he's thinking in a minute or two here. But for the time being, you have to trust me with this. I don't mind the line going up a little bit. It can drop a little towards the edge, but okay, let's go back to this. I'm using this big chunk of charcoal and it's very imprecise. But that's okay. I'll just keep refining it, making a bigger mess, as I promised I would. You know, that's going to get pretty important how I do this when I get to putting some paint lines on. That's okay. We have a third one there. Bit of a bigger space between these two than between these two. And maybe there are a couple of distant trees there as well. We'll see. All right, for the moment, we're going to call that our landmass. Now the water continues behind there, so maybe what I'll do is put another line behind there. In fact, not maybe what I'll do, it's exactly what I'm going to do. Because we want some indication of horizon back there. It's a bit rough, it's okay. Couple of boulders there. Okay, now, this painting is going to contain some cadmiums. Because we're going to do a bit of a sunset. And our sun is going to be a little bit left of center. It's going to be fairly big. Well, okay, that's just, it's not going to be quite that big, but the fairly bright spot will be there. And then we'll take and make, not a spiral, but some concentric indications of line, picking up atmospherically that intense light from the sun. That's going to continue down into our water. the sun directly over this opening. Me no likey. But if I put it there, we're dead center. And that's an awfully important bright orb to have dead center. I could move it here, but no, I don't want to. I can move it there, that's close to that though. Gonna have to be pretty persnickety about where this goes, because the water's gonna be picking up a lot of that light, and I don't want, you know, this line of reflection in the water too close to one edge or the other. I want it fairly central, or the most intense area central. Back to that. You know, I think that's going to work. I think we'll be okay with that. It's not dead center of this. It's not center of the painting. These rocks are going to pick up reflection from there. It'll be pulled down. This is all going to be fairly light down here. So, we might be okay. Okay, I'm going to take a measuring tape and I'm going to cheat. What's the center of that? Well, pretty much 14 7/8. We'll mark that there as well. Again, I usually feel my way through this. Wait a minute, that's 14 3/4. Okay, it's close enough. I don't want perfection. You never see, well, you see perfection in nature, but it's in its own right. It's not like a human draftsman or architect would make it. It's not quite what we're after. Okay, don't worry too much about that there, but when we come down here, okay, again, future guide. Roughly where we want our brightest areas. Okay, now we have a lot of water to cover, don't we? I'm not sure exactly what structure I would like here. The water will be darker on this side, so in a sense I could bring something in here and it would pick up the light from the sun, which would sit nicely and dramatically against the darker water. Or I could put something in here which would not pick up too much light from the sun, but because it's lighter here, the object in the foreground would be darker, so you still get the drama, one way or the other. Always a matter of degrees. That I'm going to have a sit down about and chew on some ideas here. See what I think is going to work the best. So I'll leave you there for the moment. Next time I more than likely will have put the lines in. And this painting I'm going to excuse me. This painting I'm likely going to wash in roughly the colors that are going to be there, but quite a bit darker than the final iteration. I'm planning on using a knife, so I kind of want to have my shapes in reasonably accurate before going into it. You don't have to. You can go willy-nilly if you want to, but that's how I do it. Or that's how I'm going to do it on this painting, maybe I should say. So, the palette in general I would say is going to be warm. We're likely to have a fair bit of pinks and purples, some yellows. In general, leaning towards a purple-ish painting, a warm purple-ish painting, although there's going to be a lot of blue in it too. So, you know, mind you, it doesn't take a lot of warm color to warm up a blue painting. We'll see how it goes. Have a good weekend. We will talk to you soon.